Welcome back to Bloomberg Tech. Let's check in on these markets because we're trying to digest a relatively noisy report, as some people are saying, about the jobs market. Of course, this comes for October, November numbers. 64,000 non-farm payrolls increased in November, but the unemployment rate ticked higher, 4.6%. Federal Reserve therefore unlikely to do much on this particular current jobs report. So the market pretty sanguine, off by 0.4%. Bitcoin managed to ramp up almost 2%, 87,000 is where we trade, but it is under significant pressure as we end this year. And in fact, it looks to be fourth ever down year for the OG in crypto. But more broadly, we think about how US unemployment is factoring into market sentiment. As we said, the figure rising to a 4-year high in November. And while clear evidence of widespread AI-related layoffs hasn't quite emerged, more and more firms like these are pointing to the technology as they announce or plan for cuts. For firms hiring, AI skills are actually becoming a must-have. But could actually AI also help solve a potential leadership shortage? Eric Walczykowski is with us. He's CEO for executive recruiting firm Bespoke Partners. And really, you're thinking about the intersection of AI and the labor market. You're thinking about how AI can help with the job search, Eric. But first, your view on whether these jobs numbers and unemployment rate increases are in any way tied to AI and automation.
Caroline, thanks for having me on the show. Look, when I think about AI, it's definitely impacting the broader market. But I think that while payroll growth has stalled, I don't think it's collapsed. And I think this tick up in unemployment is temporary. And I think when we look at the last couple of years, we've had a tight monetary policy, high capital rates, low deal flow. In Q3, I think we started to see deal flow pick up, and I think we're going to start to see deal flow pick up from there. And from there, I think we'll see leadership change and then job creation.
Okay, so you're very much focused on sort of SMEs held by private equity that might be going through some sort of change and transition. But you've been trying to warn that maybe the leadership isn't quite there to stand into these sorts of periods of transition?
Well, what's interesting is deal flow finally picked up in Q3, and we're seeing the tightest labor market ever in executives for software companies. It's the perfect storm. As deal flow has picked up, demand for these executives has also picked up because we need new executives for new platforms. But there are about 13,000 companies in the private equity sector that need to exit at some point. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And so in a market where there's natural churn with executives, you have more executives now who are waiting for the exit in the next 12 to 18 months, putting a significant amount of pressure on these leadership changes.
So if there's people looking for an exit, does that mean we're going to have a glut of leaders coming onto the market because suddenly their businesses are sold? And do they have the right talents and the right AI talents to advise in the future and to take more leadership positions?
I think we are going to see more folks come onto the market, but I think it's going to take a significant amount of time to get through this private equity bloat backlog, number of portfolio companies that need to exit. And so I anticipate 2026 and 2027 to be a very tight leader market. That said, we're paid to find the best of the best, and those folks are out there. The key is to make sure that you're looking at the entire market, and I think that's where AI really comes in and gives us the opportunity to determine who those right executives are.
So how's AI helping?
Well, it's interesting. When I entered the exec search industry about 5 years ago, I saw an industry where searches were done from the bottoms up, and the very best executive search professionals were only seeing about 20% of the market, because effectively what they were doing is they were going to a database of who they know. So we started a project about 4 years ago where we indexed the entire market for software executives in North America and identified all 700,000 executives that participate in the market. Those AI tools have then allowed us to determine who is particularly the best fit for the executive roles that we're placing.
Eric, fascinating talking to you in this current environment. Eric Walczykowski, he's the CEO of Bespoke Partners. We thank you. Coming up, an important conversation from a geopolitical perspective. Jacob